What's up, everybody? Welcome to, I guess, the fourth installment of Hoops Hobby Hangout. We are here today again. I'm Joey with Ryan, Steve, and Adam. This week, we're focused on Steve and Adam as well in terms of kind of their collecting whereabouts and what they're up to and what's tickling their fancy. But also going to talk about a couple other things that kind of we've just been talking about throughout the week. Welcome to anybody that's here watching, and we hope that you can participate in the chat with us or jump on the stream yourself. Even though Steve and Adam they'll drive the topics, we'll kind of all be able to share our thoughts. I'm going to put in the stream link in the chat so that you can jump on, and if you want, you can copy that link, paste it into your browser, and you can jump on the video yourself. You can also scan the QR code that's up at the top right of your screen. If you're interested, I'll keep that up and try to go back and forth every so often. But yeah, so hope everyone has had a good week. Does anyone kind of want to start us off? Let us know if there anything exciting happened this week, hobby-wise or otherwise.
I've got a pretty cool story, and I know I'm going to talk a lot, but I think this is, I'm just going to be selfish because it's like a big moment for me, but
this is your week.
Yeah, no, but I got a chance. So I'm a huge introvert. Thanks, Evan. I appreciate that. Huge introvert. So for the first time, I'm about to turn 44 years old. I went graphing, which is short for autographing. My daughter and I went down to a Connecticut Suns game, and her favorite player in the league is Dejanay Carrington. Used to be on the Sun, is now playing for Minnesota Lynx, which is the number one team in the league. And what's up, Jason? So she has a jersey, which I regrettably spent $100 at when the Sun played at the Garden in Boston last year. But her and I went down. I have a good friend of mine that has season tickets. He told us where to get tickets. And her and I went down. We brought Dejanay's jersey with us, and we were able to get in early, hung out with the season ticket holders that had all their card. It was actually kind of cool to see, like, the people that go with their photo albums and stuff and do the autographing thing, kind of hang out every time. But we were able to link up with Dejanay. My daughter got to throw her jersey onto the court so Dejanay could pick it up. She specifically asked for it, signed it. The kid was in heaven. Like, while we were waiting, we got on the Jumbotron. It was an awesome experience. And I can definitely see the appeal of, as a 44-year-old white man, I don't know that I'd go to too many games and fight for 20-year-old autographs, especially females, but doing it with a kid and seeing that enjoyment. So that was a really cool, hoops related experience for us to have.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Very cool.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. Must feel so different, like going for autographs when you have a kid with you rather than when you're like an old dude just kind of asking for these people half your age's autograph.
He manipulated the story. It was really him who wanted it, but he used the kid as the leverage. I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah. No, we're going again this weekend. If DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas are going to be in town. If I were to go get their autographs, I'd be using my kid for leverage. But this time around, it was actually my kid.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. That's really cool. That's a great, by the way, Sean, episode title for this. We should definitely pick that one up, is Shamrocks and Shenanigans. That's awesome. Ryan, Adam, you guys got anything going on?
Not too much.
I do have a pickup. Went to a card show.
I like it.
Yeah, and got this pretty sweet Carmelo.
Oh, I love that.
It's from, I think it's 04 or 05 SB Game Used.
Mm-hmm.
So for those listening on audio, it's a patch auto. So kind of those old school blue jerseys with the little chunky patches in there out of 50. And I actually got that in a trade. So it's pretty happy about it. The show was crazy. I feel like every time they do that show, they do it every few months. And the place was packed. It was like a Sunday too, and I was like, okay, I'll go on the last day, because they had a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday was as packed as anything, and I talked to a guy there that I've actually set up with before, and he's like, yeah, I've been selling out all my stuff, and so it's just cool to see. It's definitely shows are doing well even here in Denver.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great card. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just those Nugget jerseys have such great patches.
Yeah, the texture on the patches is really cool in those.
Yeah, and the blue on the
Yeah.
auto and the blue in the background, it goes together so well.
Yeah, actually, I don't have a ton of Carmelo stuff like patch auto stuff really, just because I wasn't collecting in the 2000s as much, and I feel like when I got back in, they're too expensive, and then I could just never justify it. So now I'm kind of going back, and I've got other decent cards. So I actually traded like a Jokic card for that one, and I think I got a Kareem auto out of the deal, and I got like another Jokic for my son, and so it was cool. It was pretty fun.
That's one I'm actually still looking for myself, is a Carmelo patch auto, but I'm specifically wanting that like era early autograph Melo Nuggets. Like that's perfect. I'd like one of those too.
So is that UD or something that you're looking for specifically?
Yeah, probably Upper Deck, just because you get into Panini years, he's on the Knicks, and then you get into the newer Panini stuff that's Nuggets. He signs it like Stay Mellow now, and I don't want that. I want the original Carmelo auto.
Ryan, just a curiosity question from an outsider, because obviously, like in Boston, we had a ton of respect for AI and everything that he did. How is AI thought of in Denver? You know, I know Carmelo like was respected, and I actually think he got a lot more respect when he went to Denver. How is AI thought of when he went to Denver? Like, did you go after any of his stuff?
Yeah, I do. And actually, I just think it was cool that he played with us for, what was it, 2 seasons or whatever he was with us.
Because I'm just asking because I think of like he wore that jersey, and I'm like, that would be kind of a cool card. Like, you know, if he came to the Celtics, it'd be kind of a cool era to get a card of.
AI stuff is like super expensive though, normally, because he got a lot of collectors of it. So I feel like anything that comes up where I'm like, oh, that looks cool, it just goes way out of my price range.
Really?
It was when I was doing my Topps Chrome run for the Nuggets. That was like the last one I picked up was his, I think it was 07, 08 or something. The X Fractors, I think it was, just because it was like going for so much money. And then I've sold a couple cards. I like saved those funds. I'm like, when that comes up, now I got the funds. But before that, it was just too much, you know. But yeah, you know, I've never heard anything bad from other fans about him or anything like that. And I thought it was a cool time period. So
just out of curiosity, I mean, I almost think of him as like with the Nuggets as like Shaq with the Celtics, and AI had a lot more to offer. And obviously there's a big trade and stuff, but like Shaq Celtics cards go for crazy money, especially anything relic based, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to AI. I think just all of his cards in general. Yeah. Maybe the Nuggets less so because everybody wants, you know, Sixers or whatever, but it's still pricey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I guess that might be a good time to give Steve and Adam the floor. We are celebrating Adam's birthday today, so he got the great present of coming to talk to all of us and tell us about what drives his collecting and what cards are keep him going every day. So do you want to take the floor, kind of whatever you think or wherever you want to take it? Feel free to jump on.
I can, sure. Are we want to do like a backstory type of thing, or what are we trying to do?
Whatever you want. I mean, share whatever you want, and I'll just remind everyone to jump on that QR code. If you want to scan it, you can join in and jump on the video, and there's a link at the beginning of the chat to you can scroll up and find that. But yeah, I mean, I think we've been trying to focus on like where you're at now in your collecting, but I don't think
that's fine. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
So I basically collect anything Hall of Fame related. Most of the teams outside of basketball I lack in that regard. Like I'm a Bengals fan, so Hall of Fame collecting is pretty difficult. But for Celtics, it's like the perfect storm. They have tons of Hall of Famers, tons of kind of history and longevity. So that's something that I collect a lot of. My Celtics fandom started being a kid in Kentucky. No NBA teams. Antoine Walker was a big UK talent. So I do collect some of his stuff, not a ton, but some of the newer kind of patch autos. Like I had one of those pulled out. Antoine Walker, flawless patch auto. I like that year a lot. The hollow foil on it's nice, and that's a big thing for me. Hollow foil is kind of everything. So if a card doesn't have hollow foil, it kind of detracts for me. Same, and I probably said this before, but if not, I'll come across as a goofball, but the patch of the card and the photo matching is big to me. So like this here having holofoil and it being a white jersey and a white photo is like the perfect combination. So it's like everything I look for in a card in one, on card, nice patch, match, holofoil, that kind of thing. And I know that's something Steve likes too.
And I was sorry, Adam, I spaced out for a second. Did you that's 2014-15 Flawless, right?
That sounds good.
The holofoil in that specific year, Flawless, is like it's glass. It is just, it shines, it reflects so well. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best years, I think, and it's across the board. Like the gold is really the same pop of with holofoil to it, because you get some years where the gold is solid gold, the silver solid silver. Like it just doesn't do the same for me. But that's one of the really good years. And then another Kentucky connection being from here. Dave Cowens was somebody I collected early. This is one of my favorite kind of unheard of cards. It's the foil version of the Topps fan favorites. They're numbered to 10. They rarely pop up.
That's beautiful.
But it's one of my favorite cards. But they're numbered to 10. And they look really good.
Very nice. Yeah, that's cool.
But he's from Northern Kentucky like myself, so it's kind of another connection there. Let's see what else I've got here. And kind of honing in on the older guys that I like to collect more than anything. Here's like a Havlicek Soul of the Game. I really like these stuff that's just different than the normal jersey or whatever type cards. Getting a soul of a Converse sneaker from back.
I was going to say, I like that you can see the soul. Like you can clearly see the end of the word, like Converse, or the model of the shoe on that piece of the sole. That's nice.
Yeah, I have, I think, 3 of these. This is the only one that has like a discernible letter or anything in it, so I grabbed this one. But yeah, nice foil, full-size action photo. It's like the perfect storm. And he's wearing some like old school sneakers on it as well. Like they're not Converse or Adidas, but like this might be an Adidas sole. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, your soul and like shoe patch collection is crazy. You have so many nice cards like that.
Yeah, I try to find those a lot. I think they're something we're not going to get much of going forward. So that's part of my appeal to it. Like it's where you're going to find what at this point almost 60, 50 something year old sneakers being put into cards. It's probably not going to happen anymore. It's like stuff like that. And I think he's the oldest person that's been put into the set from my recollection, but there is quite a few like Julius Ervings or Moses Malone type guys that are 70s, 80s, 90s type guys that are in those sets that I think is really cool to buy. Another Havlicek card I pulled out. This one, I love exquisite stuff. So Upper Deck Chronology Exquisite UD Black is going to be something that I definitely share quite a few things of. They're my favorites. And this one is, I think, kind of cool too, because it's a finals card and most people would not think of the Bucks and the Celtics playing in a final series together. But at this time, the West was still including the Bucks.
Yep. Adam, if you had to choose, right? So, whatever you have to liquidate, your collection. Are you keeping your exquisite stuff or your UD Black stuff?
That's a really tough question.
It's a surprisingly tough question for people that are familiar with, especially the back end of the Upper Deck era. I mean, the UD Black stuff is.
It's a really stunning. Good. As I ponder that question, it's a really good segue into a couple UD Black cards I pulled out. Man, I'm really having
time now
deciding what would be the right decision there. Honestly, I think in terms of like my favorite cards, they're probably UD Black. In terms of the quantity of cards that I have of exquisite, I would take exquisite. So it depends on how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
If you were like, I could only keep 5 cards between UD Black and exquisite, UD Black.
Yeah.
If you're saying I could keep the quantity of years exquisite made, I'd have to take exquisite. But I love the platinum foil. This is like one of my favorites. I actually have a 3rd copy of the gold of this incoming right now. I just love these. The foil on them is incredible. Any color you get. And then I have a couple of these as well. I pulled out one of them.
I love those silver paint pens too. That was like, I guess that's got the gold paint pens, and they actually did the correct size.
Yeah,
right.
Paint pen, because when Panini got a hold of stuff like that, they'd give them those fat.
Oh yeah, they ruin it
and just ruin them. Those are like the perfect size ones.
These are really nice.
I think it's also attention to detail, Ryan. Right, like Panini, and I'm actually a huge fan of a lot of what Panini does, but the combination of paint pen on acrylic surfaces is very, very fragile. And I know Adam and I have traded some of like the Noir cards back and forth and stuff. They look great, but that paint pen is up. It's never going to fully cure on that acetate. It's going to be easy to scratch and chip off, and then in addition, they grab the Magnum 44 markers to sign some of the cards, right? But no, there's something about those high end Upper Deck sets where they just took the time to. Maybe I'm naive. I imagine they were researching what pens to use on what surface and where it would cure and how to look best. They've held up over time. They don't chip, they don't scratch, they don't fade. They look good.
Kind of feels like it because you look at the high end Panini set Eminence whenever that came out, and they did the paint pens, but it was all those fat paint pens, and the cards were super huge, and it just doesn't. Well, I've never owned one, but it didn't feel the same as the Upper Deck stuff, the Exquisite, the UD Black, and all that.
Right.
It just felt kind of cheaper, they're copying it and kind of missed the mark a little bit.
If you guys don't mind me, Evan is in our studio. Evan's back here to hang out. Thanks for coming on. I'm going to add him to the stage because I'm sure he has a lot to contribute as a Celtics fan himself. I see you're properly.
No, Evan makes fun of my headphones, and then he comes on with the hat and the oversized headphones.
No, I think he was genuinely complimenting you.
Yeah, I just want to be like you, Steve. That's what it really boils down to, I think. But
I'm sorry you feel that way. You should have higher aspirations.
Yes, I do have some things to add, but I would love to keep hearing from Adam and Steve, defer to them as they have been in the game longer than I have. So.
Yeah, anytime you feel like you have something to add, just jump in. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Adam, what you got for us?
Yeah, just kind of on the same topic of Exquisite, and I know some people in the comments have been talking about duels and things like that. That's another side of the things for me. So many people get kind of jaded by dual and triple type autographs because they see so many of Larry Bird, Adam Morrison duel, and it's well, that's ruined. I love duels and triples, but only when they're done correctly. And this set here from Exquisite is probably my favorite dual auto set. I absolutely love these. I don't know if I can get the right look on them. It's etched foil and has almost a glittery type appearance to it. But these are really special, I think. I love these.
So that's Russell and Havlicek. What year is that, Adam? That's Exquisite.
These
just for our audio
0708.
listeners.
0708 Exquisite enshrinements duels. The singles are vertical and just signed across the front, and these duels are horizontal with obviously two players on there.
Yeah, those
go ahead, Joey. Sorry to cut you off.
I was going to say that etched gold foil framing around the player, the headshots and the autos. It's just it's etched foil gold. Yeah, it's great, good stuff.
Hold that up there one more time, Adam. I'm just going to put this out there for anybody following on YouTube. Find me someone with an athlete with a better autograph than John Havlicek. I don't know how he does that straight line across, but that thing is like a John Hancock to a T. I love that autograph.
And that's one thing that's nice of being a Celtics collector too, is a lot of our players have full legible autographs. I personally think Sam Jones has a better auto than Havlicek. His is so beautiful. Bill Russell's is great. Bird's isn't bad. We're pretty lucky to have so many good options.
What about Parrish?
He squishes it together, though. It's so sloppy.
Yeah, it is. It is bad.
Speaking of Parrish, I got some to share real quick.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a perfect segue.
Yeah, I showed you guys before the chat, but I actually used to live in Boston, and this is my in-person auto over at Parrish. I think this is 91 hoops. I got that signed after a game, standing out back by the buses. He was the one that came out. I think I had a bunch of them. I was probably hoping for Bird, right? Because I think that was probably close to his last season, but probably close to Parrish's last season as well, to be honest. But had to pull that one out for tonight. Did not have a Celtics jersey, unfortunately. So there you go. Well, Denver.
Yeah, sorry. I have really nothing Celtics to contribute. So this one's all you guys. Some comments to highlight. I don't know if this is a good time. I hope you don't mind me interrupting Adam, but there was a little conversation about I know we haven't really brought him up yet, but some really good signers and autographs. But a little bit ago there was a question about some Paul Pierce cards, and I think since we're talking Celtics and we're talking all this, maybe it's a good time to to bring it up. Jayhawker Vintage Cards. Mike, he says, "Hey fellas, I have a bunch of early Paul Pierce jersey cards, auto cards, and some low numbered cards, such as the 99 Upper Deck Wild Level 2 Quantum Wild Gold." Wow, that is such a mouthful of a set. 8 out of 25. What's your suggestion to sell those? And I know, Steve, that you were kind of in the comments going back and forth and having a conversation, but if you guys can comment on your thoughts on when to sell some of those rarer late 90s Paul Pierce cards. Can you guys share some thoughts there?
So when I got distracted when Adam was talking and had to ask a question about his cards, I was messaging Mike in the chat. And for me, I would say any of the Hall of Famers, like I know there's plenty of people that will listen to this and will want to just cringe at the name Paul Pierce because he's a very divisive, athlete. But in the end, he's a top 75, an all NBA level player, MVP candidate in his prime, multiple All-Star. Like he's one of the greats of the game. When you have those cards, I think any time's a good time to sell if you're looking to unload. And my only advice is if you've got a lot of it, to probably use one of the consignment companies, and I don't use consignment, so I don't want to say like DC Sports or like I don't actually know. Like I know who I buy from, but I don't want to make a plug for anyone. But I think sending to a trusted consignment company that has good rates, that knows how to market stuff, you can unload that stuff at any time, and I wouldn't worry about when or how. I would just send it off to them. And if you have stuff that's maybe in bulk lower end, maybe just do story sales on Instagram or send it off to ComC or something. But that stuff should always be pretty easy to sell. I wouldn't worry about it.
The only caveat I would probably throw in there would be on something kind of niche like the Wild Level 2 Quantum Wild Gold mouthful. It might be worth putting at a high buy it now or best offer because that's probably something that there's a handful of people that really want, but maybe aren't checking on every few days for that specific card. So you might be a little better off to give them an opportunity to see it rather than the auction format. But anything else that's kind of, I don't want to say run of the mill, but that you're going to gravitate towards mini buyers rather than a smaller group of them for something like that. I think the auction is definitely the way to go. And I buy from them, but I've never used a consignor to sell anything. So I can't give a really good kind of personal feedback on any of them.
That's both great points. I know it's hard. I don't know if any of us are like expert sellers to be able to give advice on selling and timing and stuff like that. Do you guys think that with the run up on things late 90s and rare things and higher end things right now, that now might be a high point in that sort of market? Or do you think with Paul Pierce, I mean, he's a great player, like you said, top 75 Hall of Famer, but he's not like Mount Rushmore necessarily of the hobby. I don't know if it makes a difference, or if you guys
I don't think it makes a difference. Like I honestly think, like I asked about AI earlier just because I was curious, and like Penny Hardaway and stuff, there's players that have certain like rushes of fandom and nostalgia and stuff that people go after. Pierce is just one of those great players, and there's a very specific subset of collectors that go after his stuff, and there's Celtics collectors or all NBA collectors that might see something rare and make a bid at it. So I really honestly, I think if you have that type of play, if you've got Akeem Olajuwon or Paul Pierce, those top tier players that aren't the nostalgia players, you can really unload that stuff for a pretty good value at any point, as long as it's, good stuff.
Yeah. I was just going to add that the run up on a lot of this stuff is the real hype parallels, the PMGs, the rubies. It seems like the set that people are hyping changes every other week. Probably not the quantum one. That might be more like a player collector. A lot of times I'll actually do a story sale on IG and then try to maybe price it reasonably and sell to a collector. I like to do that a lot of times because it's stuff maybe they haven't seen, or just if I know somebody collects a certain player or a team, I'll reach out to them specifically and be like, hey, I got this. Do you have any interest? Even before I make it public. So, but yeah, the run up on the stuff like that is probably not going to hit like you think it would on consignment, unless you got the rubies of PMGs and all that stuff that gets crazy amounts nowadays.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I never heard of that set before either, Sean. Like that I've never even heard of the gold, the non-gold, whatever, but that's really cool. Yeah. And I feel like with a card that rare from 99 of a player like Pierce, I think like Adam has a point with putting it up for a high bin and best offer and stuff like that. So it's a good point. But yeah, that was really great. Thanks for throwing that in there. And Adam, do you have more things you want to share with us?
I had a couple more pulled out. We were talking about the exquisite duel. I had another Bill Russell exquisite sitting here. The noble nameplates.
Just sitting there. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just a casual Bill Russell patch
Yeah.
auto with an actual, stitch patch. Just sitting around.
I know, right? I love that phrasing.
However you want to word it. I really like this set.
One of the few without a faded auto. Like,
Yeah,
I've
I've seen a number of these with faded autos. I'm not sure why, but there's been
Mhm.
several. Yeah, it's a really good auto.
And what year is that noble nameplates?
I'm bad about years. Let me look here. 2005, 2006.
Okay.
And one thing I was going to touch on too with Russell is he has several different iterations of relic autos, I'll call them, and they're all different materials. So like Upper Deck at one point, that there's shorts, and then in another set they had a warm-up jacket, and you'll discern those by being 3-color with yellow. And then only Topps ever acquired an actual jersey. I have one of those, like a truly stitched jersey patch. Unfortunately, they never made an on-card version from Topps. I have a couple sticker versions. This is Topps Echelon, and then Bowman Elevation. Both offer actual jerseys in the cards, which I think is pretty cool. I just wish there was an on-card version of those.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so unique. So you're saying that exquisite is not a jersey?
No, it's a pair of shorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of the exquisite stuff that's higher numbered is like almost wool-looking patches. And those are like pieces of the interior of the jacket. And then you'll see like number pieces or low numbered exquisite stuff that features 3-color patches, but they're pieces of the jacket. Also, just more of the prime chunks.
Well, that's cool. That's an awesome pair of Bill Russell memorabilia autos. That's crazy.
I appreciate it. I'll show one more, and then we can get on to Steve, so I can quit blabbering about my stuff. But this one's one that I really like as well. It's a JoJo White game used letter W from the jersey, and there has been some speculation. I think it was Kyle that came up with the concept that this was finals worn from the year he won the finals MVP.
Oh, sweet.
So it was one of those things that popped up and I had to have. But really like that one. It's super chunky stitched, and if you can catch that in the
and the W fits perfectly in that window. Like you've got the full letter, you can see the outline of it. It's about as good as a relic card gets.
Yeah, that's one that I think's really special. Obviously, JoJo White isn't on most people's radar, but I love the more unique kind of patch stuff, and the finals potential there is quite cool, I think.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I'm gonna have a ton of cards to photos to send me for the edited version of YouTube.
Yeah. I can send them to you faster than Joey will send you one, so don't worry.
Hey, I'll get there within a week or so.
Yeah.
Virtual communication is like my Achilles heel. It's so bad.
Come on, Steve. All you.
Yeah, Steve.
All right.
Let's
I'm
to
up.
you.
All right.
And Evan, you should get ready. We'll throw it to you too. I mean, you're a Celtics collector too, so we want to hear what drives you.
Who's the player on the jersey, Evan?
It's Tatum.
Nice.
How original.
Yeah, I know.
He's a baby. I mean, that's all he knows.
Real original with my Jokic jersey. So
Same era.
And I ran upstairs, and I'll tell the story in a second about what I'm wearing. But after I saw Ryan's jersey, I was like, "Oh man, I gotta put something on. I gotta get a little prop for today's conversation." But so I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and I'm just gonna tell a few stories and share some cards about that, because I'm all over the place with collecting. Like when I first I got the most typical middle-aged man story ever, right? Like I collected in the 80s and 90s. Cards going to make me rich. My family, put cards in my stocking and said, hold on to that. I got an Aaron Seeley rookie card that I was told was going to be, he was a pitcher for the Red Sox, never panned out. And I was going to have to save that for the rest of my life because my aunt gave it to me. And
thanks for clarifying that. I did not know who that was.
Oh yeah. It didn't pan out at all, but I've collected my whole life. And I distinctly remember when I first moved in with the woman that's now my wife, and, we didn't have any money, but I was always like, I'd go to Target and get blasters, and remember pulling a Richard McCants like relic card out of like a multi-product blaster at Target or something. I was like, wow, this is a lot to this. And during the championship run, when the Celtics were getting good, I want a Paul Pierce auto. Like I wasn't collecting cards actively at the time, but I was like, what can I get to put next to the TV while I'm rooting on this team that's, now up. And I picked up this pro sign. So it's an Upper Deck pro sign on card auto Paul Pierce. I distinctly remember paying somewhere between $20 and $30 for this. Like I was like, oh, wow, cards are so unpopular now that you can get autographed cards of your favorite player on eBay for a couple of bucks. And so cards have always been part of my sort of ecosystem, even when I wasn't actively collecting. And then in 2012, I remember driving to work, and one of the sports talk radio guys was going through a midlife crisis and talking about how he went on Amazon and bought a box of baseball cards. And I was like, yes, I'm going to do that, right? So it was September 2012, and I might forget my kid's birthday sometimes, but I remember that it was September 2012 that I ordered a box of 92-93, a hobby box of Stadium Club off Amazon for $25. And I was working at a bike shop at the time, and then I was in grad school, and I was texting a buddy, be like, dude, can you believe what I did? Like, I could never buy a box before. I used to fight to get a pack of Flair Ultra at the gas station, et cetera, et cetera. And I pulled a Michael Jordan Beam team. And I was like, oh, man. Like, I was like being a kid again. Like, I took a picture. I sent it to him. And, man, it's been downhill since then, right? So then I hopped on the internet. I was like, what is this card stuff all about? I started an account on a forum board called what was SCF, Sports Collectors Forum or something. It was called SCF. Was Adam shaking his head? I don't know if you. I started there. Sports Card Forum. Yep. I mean, they would send you like birthday notifications, and you could like trade and sell. And then I found the Beckett forums, and they had their org, which you could upload your collection. You could digitally trade it
before they charge you for it.
Before they charge you for it, yeah, and it was awesome because you could literally like you just had a bubble next to all your cards, and you could click it and then send it to like the Sport Card King and say, hey, I'd like to trade these. Are you interested? Or you could go into Sport Card King's org and select a card that he had publicly available and like offer a trade. It was a great system for 2010, 2012. But I went down a rabbit hole, and I was like, all right, I bought a box. I didn't think I could ever do that. Now I want the card I didn't think I could ever have. So I thought I was so smart. So I researched this card. I looked into it, and I bought a graded copy of this card. And this card was graded a BCCG9, which for those that weren't collecting back then was Beckett Collectors Club Grading, which was the scammiest company. And I had no idea. It was there was low-end slabs, no sleeve in it. But the card was a Larry Bird Magic Johnson rookie card. And I remember where I was when I bought it. I was sitting at my computer in my living room, the house I just bought, and I paid $200 for a BCCG9, Larry Bird 1980 top scoring leaders rookie card. And that opened the floodgates for me. I then spent, years on Beckett, buying stuff, trading stuff. Probably the card that I was most excited about back then that I did the most research on was a what year is this? 93 Hoops. This was a redemption dual auto of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. This is a fun card to research because there's so many fake copies out there because it's just a base card with autos on it. But this is an actual pack pulled redemption that got redeemed. So I've been collecting since then, mostly Celtic stuff, but more recently a lot of I'm really not doing much with the NBA stuff, and we're going to, big marketees, we're going to end this conversation. I think we're all super excited about Silhouette, except Evan joined us, and he's not super excited about Silhouette, so it'll be good to have a different opinion.
Yes, good.
But more recently, I've been doing a lot of collecting with, like, pop culture stuff. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, Marvel MCU stuff. I mentioned the WNBA. I'm really excited about WNBA cards right now just because they're new to me. It's like a whole new genre, and my kids like them. And feel free to, if I'm just babbling on, please interrupt me, people, if you guys have
I have a lot of things I'd like to ask you. So first thing is, when you went to get that Paul Pierce auto during that finals run, did you know before you started looking that you wanted a card? You said you wanted something up on the mantle next to the TV. Okay.
And it was just because I've always collected cards, even like when I didn't have money to buy them, I was, I knew I had I brought my collection to college with me. Like I've had my collection of cards all around, and but no, I just typed in Paul Pierce auto on eBay. I was, selling and trading, snowboard equipment then, but for sure, Gary says the Beckett forums used to be amazing. I mean, so many good memories. And if it wasn't for the Beckett forums, I probably wouldn't have got into the hobby as strong as I did. I agree, Gary. But no, Joe. Yeah, I happened to find it, and that card was on a top loader leaned up against, like a big speaker system that any, early 20s guy would have had in the early 2000s in an apartment. It wasn't meant to be a card.
And Chris Todd also mentioned, which is 100% true, one big pull, all it takes to just dive right in. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure that played a big part. The other thing I wanted to mention, since we brought up Beckett, since Gary brought up Beckett, was it sounded like that system is really similar to what they have on TCDB right now, because it's exactly the same. You can put cards on your collection, list it for sale or trade. Other people, you can put things in your want list, and then sometimes it'll auto match. Even if you happen to list a card on your want list that someone else has for sale or trade, it'll send you a notification and send you an email saying that there's a match. So I haven't personally ever gotten something done there, but I just started kind of trying it out. But a lot of people say they like it.
Yeah, I think the helpful part of it back then, and I was a complete noob as an adult to like actual like money and breaking boxes and stuff, is to have a forum that was aligned with that. And it felt like the entire hobby was on that board. And obviously they weren't, right? But it felt that way. There's enough transactions going on, posts were updated, that you felt like it was a very engaging, safe community. So when I would really go on and be talking to people, and then trades would happen along the side that were easy to, navigate, and there were moderators and stuff. So it was a great system.
To touch on that too, back then it used to not be about $10,000 cards. There were so few and far between, but you could pick up a Paul Pierce second year base Chrome card and post it, and you'd have the same engagement as posting a Michael Jordan exquisite limited logos. Like, there was really high to low end engagement in the hobby rather than just what's hot, which was really nice.
Yeah. When did you make it over to the blowout forums? Because I know that's where I kind of met you initially, Steve. And I remember seeing Beckett forums and going on them, but they were kind of dying out at that point. I feel like that was maybe early 2010s.
Yeah, I would say I probably missed the I missed Hobby Kings completely almost. I mean, like, I remember being on Blowout and Beckett and hearing about them shutting down. I joined Beckett in 2012, right around, that's when I hit that, Jordan Beam team. And it was really active until 2014, 15. And I bet it was around 2013 that I came, found out about blowouts. And at that point, I was like, I just want to make sure I have, like, I understand. I want to know where everyone is, right? So I can be making deals. But I was definitely posting on Blowout, because it was a lot easier to post. Like, I was breaking a lot of wax back then, and it was very easy in their buy, sell, trade to just like post your hits from a box of Prism or Select, and people would message you directly. So it was a lot easier to sell on Blowout. So I probably joined Blowout 2013, 2014, and navigated there as my like full-time forum around 2015, 2016.
Gotcha.
I was like super active in there.
That's where I feel like, you and I probably connected back during that 15, 16 season. Yeah, because I was getting back into the hobby maybe like 2010, 11, somewhere around the, lockout time. And then it seemed like Blowout was more active. So that's the one I joined after like lurking around for a couple of years. But now we got the hobby boards, which I like to bring up every time. And I know I bring it up and never really quite explain it, but the hobby boards is was my answer to Hobby Kings, which I was never really active on, but I used for like a ton of info on sets, on just like cool cards to collect and stuff like that. So it is thehobbyboards.com for those of you interested who are not signed up over there. Definitely take a look. It's more geared towards player team collectors, showing off cool cards. We don't care as much about values. Not like we can't talk about values, just like on our show. We don't necessarily talk about values, but we can, but it's not geared towards that. So there's my plug. I'll let you keep going.
I like it. Yeah. So go ahead, Joey.
I was just going to say, and I'll say, like, there's some people that I think only, like Abra, for example, he's only on hobby boards that I'm aware of now. So like, there's a lot of great stuff there. And so the more of us that
got booted off Blowout, like I did.
Yeah, not
that was partially the reason that I started hobby boards, is because Blowout started banning people for speaking their mind about the investment time period and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get into that maybe some other time.
The more of us that kind of flow over there and participate, it's going to build up. I mean, it's hard, I know, on forums these days with the the user interface and the amount of effort required to participate. But yeah, no, it's great. So
yeah, no, for sure. And I've tried to make it so that people on phones, use to Instagram and get on there and kind of feel more at home. It's not like your old 2001 message board system that's clunky and super difficult to post stuff. So
yeah,
hopefully get some people over here that listen to this.
Yeah, and see, before you continue, I don't know if you saw that Mark was thanking you for helping him grab a copy of that dual auto, right? That was the Magic Bird dual. And what actually came to mind is I've been looking recently, actually for a long time, for one of those Hoops 5-year, I think it's 93, 94 Hoops David Robinson 5-year commemorative rookie autos or whatever. And I've been like, every time I see one, because there's a lot of fakes for that too that are graded by PSA and everything. And every time I see one pop up, I send one to Steve, like Frisbee Steve, the David Robinson collection. He's like, yeah, it's fake. Or yeah, that looks like it might have been signed like in person, but not pack pulled. But like, it's just so hard to find one of those early 90s cards that are.
And I've got a copy of the D-Rob as well, Joey. And the problem is they are just the cards that were pack pulled, the base cards. So this Bird Magic Duel, that was a card. It's a MB1. It's a subset. It's a 1-card subset that you could just pull out of a pack. There's 1,000 of them. There's even some with a little gold emblem 5th year anniversary. And then people could bring them to shows or games. I mean, David Robinson signed pretty prolifically for a while. Magic and Bird can't stop signing. Like they just want all the money they can get, so they're still signing. So it's very easy to just get a pack pulled common and get it signed and then have it slabbed, and it's an authentic autograph. But there's just that piece about you as a collector that you want the actual pack pulled redemption autograph. It's just not the same as like an in-person autograph, right? So I get it, and it's tough. And I mean, I spent months and months and months, and that's the downside of not having the forums as active anymore. Like I had access to people on the Beckett forums that were autograph chasers, that were autograph set collectors, that were collecting actively from 99 till 2012. Like it was just a different community that you could really just absorb a lot more direct information as opposed to, the hearsay that we get now, or the ADHD culture of quick information and go type stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. So sorry to interrupt for a bit. You can go ahead and continue.
So the second half that I wanted to share is my prop that I'm wearing, and I have a very odd collection. I'm a player super collector, and I hate even saying that term, but I'm wearing a game used Jay Crowder warm up jacket that's autographed. I don't even know it right there. It's autographed. And I wore it because we're going to talk later about silhouette. It has the oversized logo man on it, so that'll come into play later.
Yes.
But I have a very odd collection of Jay Crowder. He's someone that I became a fan of in the Big East. I'm a huge Big East fan, or was, before they blew it up and the ACC took over, football took over basketball. But I wanted to bring up the Jay Crowder collection because I have a few cards to go off, but also Jay played 9 games in the 24-25 season, 9 games. This will be his highest print run of a single season. This is his largest checklist, right? Nice. So he's been in the NBA. He was drafted in 2012, which for anybody that wasn't collecting back then was a dual rookie year. There was a lockout. Panini introduced Prism. They introduced Flawless. They introduced Immaculate. They introduced Select. They were still using Absolute, NT, totally certified. Panini had an insane amount of product in 2012. That was his rookie year. Then we had 2019, 2020, 2021, the bubble year. Jay was playing for the Memphis Grizzlies, so he got in a ton of sets because of Ja Morant, breaker culture. This year, when I add into my checklist Optic, NT, and Silhouette, he will have his largest checklist of his career. He played 9 games. And I just think that's very interesting. Like a part of my player collection that I like to do is it does give me a scope and sequence to understand like the trends of the hobby, right? Like I can look at when the bubble hit around the Panini and when they were printing for the pandemic. I find it fascinating. And that's only in 5 products. He was in Prism, Hoops, Donruss, NT, and Silhouette. And it's his largest checklist because there's so many parallels, there's so many variations. It's just, to me, it's frustrating because I'm going to go buy those cards. But it's interesting too to think about like the trends over time. And then there's years where he was, people can roll their eyes at me. Boston fans hype their fans. he was a legitimate starter. He was in the finals many times. He deserved to be on checklists. He might have only had 100 cards total. Now he's going to have 300 this year when he played 9 games. In 4 of the sets that he's in, he's on the wrong team. So it's just interesting. But so prior to this year, I had 90% of his complete checklist, and I consider that any licensed card. So he had collegiate. So in 2012, not only did he have all the Panini stuff, he had collegiate Upper Deck stuff too. So like Exquisite, a few Flair Retro sets. So anything that's a licensed product I had over 90% of his checklist. Now it's down to about 82 because he's got so many this year. But I wanted to show off a few of the I have a really odd tendency, guys, to hoard his 2012, 2013 NTRPA, right? So in 2012, 2013, depending on the player and the draft year, their base NTRPA was either out of 99 or out of 199. Crowder's out of 99. I got 42 copies of that card. I'm not really sure why. I don't know that it makes sense. My kids are going to hate me when they have to deal with all this stuff. But I thought I'd show off a few of those cards. And I'm going to start with a Kenneth Farid, Jay Crowder duel, which this card I love because I've said on the show before, when I went public on Instagram and started asking for Jay Crowder cards, or when I went on Facebook and started asking for Jay Crowder cards, I got more offers to buy Kenneth Farid cards than I did Jay Crowder. So for the fact that they had a duel, and this set's all about, because of the lockout, players that were drafted in 2011 versus 2012. So Farid was a 2011 draftee, but his rookie year is 2012 for the lockout, and then Crowder's on the bottom. So, and then I brought, this is his base NTRPA. So it's a horizontal card, player on one side, on card auto below it with the relic, nice jumbo relic window to the side of it. Then he had, and I don't hoard, but this is an out of 25 variation, so a number variation where the cutout window is the jersey number. So when Jay was with the Mavs, he was number 9. Since then, he's been number 99. But I had a bunch of copies of these at one point, but I sold them off. The hardest one for me to find was, these are beautiful. So anybody that was collecting NT stuff back then, this is the Platinum Parallel. This is out of 5. It's a vertical. There's just something about these that I really enjoy. And it's not going to show up on camera, but Jay's signature actually goes off onto the patch, which I just kind of appreciate. Like in this day and age of sticker autos and stuff, to have, something that a player signed and he spills over onto the patch doesn't really bug me at all. This took me years and years and years to find, and I've only ever seen 2 copies of that out of the 5 sell. And then not my favorite Crowder card, but definitely my most, I guess, impressive one is I do have his NTRPA 101 logo man auto, which he inscribed Beast, which is hilarious because I don't think I've ever heard him, be called that. But obviously a big card. I mean, I don't know that I hate calling cards big or important, but this is obviously a centerpiece of my PC. You don't get more, recognizable than a rookie NT logo man RPA. So just want to talk a little bit about my Crowder PC and, show off my game. I have all kinds of like cool stuff. And I've been able to get in touch with Jay's dad. Actually, the guy I got this jacket from, this is a fun story. And I don't know if you remember him, Adam. Adam came up to a show in Boston. There was a memorabilia dealer that, I don't want to call him out, but had access to players for recreational purposes and provided recreational opportunities to players. And this guy, as a result, had the most insane memorabilia collection. He had Paul Pierce game-used jerseys from every team Pierce had been on. He had autographed seats that were used at Pierce's jersey retirement. He had like the padded stanchions from below the basket that were signed by the team. And this guy had a collection of Robert Williams, who was a rookie center for the Celtics of the team. Williams never sent back his immaculate RPAs signed to Panini, and this guy had the box of them. So Williams must have been just decided he wasn't going to send them back, and he just gave them to this guy. And he had got like all the one-on-ones personally inscribed and stuff. But I actually traded a Paul Pierce immaculate. Yeah, Adam's got one right there. So those were never sent back. Any of those that are on the market were never sent back to Panini. They were just kept at Robert Williams' house that he was renting at the time. And like the guy's friend, like this guy had out of 49 print round, had 25 of the copies plus the 101. It was just the most wildest thing.
That's a crazy story.
But I traded a Pierce Immaculate patch auto for this jacket that I'm wearing right now. He had like personal relationships with like the broadcasters, the players. It was wild.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen like a game used warm-up jacket. That's so cool.
One of my favorite pieces that I have in my collection, Joe, is I have so in 2013-14, Pierce played for the Nets, and they had back then, if you remember, the NBA did Chinese New Year stuff, and I have Pierce's warm-up like shooting shirt from that I bought. It's like photo matched and everything. I bought it on eBay for $75 and brought it to a show to have Pierce sign. And when I handed it to him, he paused and he looks at the tag that had his player number and stuff on. He goes, and I won't swear on the show, but he's like, dude, what the, like, this is mine. Like, where did you get this? This is mine. So I've got kind of like, you can pick up game used, like, I don't know, this is probably a jacket stupid, but if you ever get into memorabilia, sort of the warm-up stuff and the pregame ceremony stuff is always really fun and very inexpensive to pick up versus like an actual game used jersey or something.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great stuff, dude. Like, that is definitely a super collection right there. I wanted to say, I don't know if you noticed on the thumbnail, I put that Asia Wilson, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, card you picked up recently, because I noticed that you're picking up lots of WNBA stuff. So I definitely have picked up on that. So yeah, that's really cool. Would you consider yourself then a team collector and a player collector? How would you like organize yourself?
I'm just more of a player. I'm definitely more of a player collector, and it's just like within the team stuff. But like even when I collect team stuff, like there'll be players that I prefer. Like I have a whole page in my binder for D Brown. I have a whole page in my binder for Al Horford. But I've only got one Kristaps Porzingis card. I've only got like 2 or 3, Kevin McHale cards where I have a bunch of Larry Bird. So I definitely prioritize the player collecting side of it more. And then I use that to pick up like autos or parallels and stuff that I really like. But the player side of it, whereas like Ryan will do, like Ryan and I talk about this all the time. Ryan's binders are set up by 2003, 2004 finest gold for the Nuggets, whereas my binder's set up for a D Brown refractor run from his playing days. So I definitely do more of the player stuff.
Yeah, I've always like contemplated how to organize my binders too, by player, chronologically, by set, team sets. I don't know.
That'll be an entire conversation. The way we organize our collections will be an entire conversation.
Yeah, we can go on for a while about that. I feel.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
I do it by year, but yeah, by player is cool too. I actually have specific binders just for my player PCs as well, but I still sort them by year.
So do you have like a copy for your player binders and then a copy for a team set that goes in the team set binders?
Some of them, yeah. Like Gallinari, I picked up multiples just because it's probably like maybe what you experienced, Steve. Sometimes you see that gold out of 10 that you've been chasing for like 5 years, and then another one shows up 2 months later. And
for sure,
that one too. So yeah, some of the sets, that aren't coming up as much, or just that I like, I'll pick up multiple copies for sure.
That's awesome. Speaking of full conversations on things, we are typically try to end by 7 Pacific, sorry. So that would be 5 more minutes. I don't know that we can do we want to have that silhouette conversation, or should we table that?
No, let's hold that off until like I think all of us, and I don't know about that, but I know we all have a couple of silhouette cards maybe coming in the mail or something over the next. So why don't we hold that off, and that could be next week. Maybe we get a. Evan, you're going to end up buying like a BM out of bio silhouette card. And tell us you're going to photo match and tell us why it's a great card for you to have. So don't be shaking your head at us. But why don't we hold off on that, Joe? And that can be a different conversation about
for sure.
Some sets and modern stuff that's getting us excited.
For sure. Since we have just a couple minutes, Evan, I just wanted to ask you, because I want to hear from you too. Like, you are a Celtics fan, right? Are you a Celtics team collector, or would you how would you kind of categorize yourself in that sense?
Well, as Steve has mentioned a couple times, I'm a fair bit younger than a lot of you guys. So my start with the Celtics didn't really begin until the post Big Three era. And I really kind of got into it when we drafted Smart. and then even more so when they got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Because I'm 27, so I'm the same age as Tatum, and that kind of gave me a reason to kind of collect somebody that's also like my same age. It's kind of interesting to like you know look up to them in a way. It's kind of interesting. So I really followed them pretty heavily, and then obviously when they got Gordon Hayward and Kyrie and all that stuff. So I would say, but to kind of get to the question, I would say I'm definitely more of a team collector than a specific player collector. I mean, I do focus more so on Tatum, Brown, and Al Horford, but I'm not opposed to picking up like a Pritchard or a Drew Holiday or Kristaps just because of the meaning of that team to my fandom. But I'd definitely say probably more of a team collector. But there are some guys I just don't really care to collect, like Grant Williams or Robert Williams or any of those guys really.
Yeah. So would you say that's your main PC then, Celtics?
Yeah, definitely Celtics, and then kind of branches off to like Greater Boston sports like Patriots, Red Sox.
No,
Okay.
Evan, you're not that much younger than me, but you didn't really watch or recall the Big Three era. Were you always in Boston back then, or did you move to Boston later than that?
Yeah, I was always in the Boston area, so I grew up in a town like 20 minutes outside of Boston, kind of like in
Okay.
between like Lexington and Concord. So um, I kind of was always into sports, but I was more so a Red Sox fan at that time because that was
Okay.
like the '04 era, then Big Poppy, Manny, then leading into '07. So I was really interested in the Sox, and my family would watch the Sox, but they weren't really like they didn't really watch the Patriots or the Celtics. So I kind of had to wait until I got into high school to have my friends and like kind of influence me with the Celtics. So yeah, I've always been in this area, but it's funny, yeah, I've always kind of been focused on the Sox first.
Well, that kind of goes back to, I think you and I have talked about, I know Steve probably enlightened me about it originally, how relevant the Celtics seem in NBA culture. But in Boston, they're like a stepchild compared to the Bruins or the Red Sox. So it's just kind of funny,
Yeah.
like how that worked for you. I didn't realize that although you were certainly alive to watch the '08 Celtics if you wanted to, it was just kind of irrelevant to you at that time.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because, I think just the whole allure after they won the '04 title. I mean, I was in first grade when that happened, so my
Jeez.
I know, I'm sorry. My memories are kind of faint for that, but I think after that the it really started to pick up. I mean, even before that when we had Nomar and even in the like before that, I mean my memories are really foggy back then, but I think the '04 title really just like brought the Sox to like the forefront of everyone's mind and just watching them in general. And then even I think the '08 team, even though they were in that same like time span of like the '04 '07 time span, I just don't think it was really as like it wasn't really it was not as popular just because I feel like they were kind of built overnight and not a lot of people had a lot of time to kind of build natural fandom with like Garnett and Allen, but Pierce was there many years before that, so I think that might be like part of it.
I mean, there was that. What was the World Series drought? Like 100 years or something? I mean, it's hard
86.
to.
80, yeah, 86, and
Yeah,
then the
dude. I mean,
Cubs was longer.
no doubt that's going to bring the Sox to the forefront of everyone's mind.
Yeah, and then the rivalry with the Yankees too. I think it's just another aspect.
So
I mean,
intense.
the Celtics Lakers rivalry. I mean, obviously, I think it really died in the '90s when both those teams kind of sucked. And then I think the Yankees Red Sox really kind of revitalized everything like in the early 2000s with A-Rod and the Nomar A-Rod controversy when A-Rod almost was a Red Sox, and then he went to the Yankees and all that kind of good stuff. And I think that's what really also kind of made it really popular around here.
So Evan's memories of the '03-'04 Red Sox, back-to-back runs is foggy because he was in kindergarten or first grade. My memories are foggy because I was 21.
Okay.
So how's that to cap the conversation for you?
Yes, that's a good way to go out for sure.
I think that makes sense. Well, thanks, guys.
Anyone have anything they want to add before we hit the road?
No,
MB
MB just says that
says,
Evan makes him feel old as AF, and I'm with you, buddy.
And I think of D Brown when I think of the Celtics because that's when I was living in Boston. I remember him being such a big deal after that dunk contest, you know, the no-look dunk, and then those Reebok pumps. Everybody had to have those. Yeah, good comment there.
All right. Well, it's been fun. I had a lot of fun listening to really all of your guys' collecting background. Evan, we would hopefully give you some more time next time. Sure. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing that. Obviously, a very Celtic heavy day. Thank you, everyone who has been hanging out and commenting in the chat. And of course, Evan, I can't thank you enough. Like, it's so fun when we get, other people jumping on here. Like, we would love it if this could be like 5 of us every week, so it'd be great.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. I have a blast. Thank you guys for letting me join. And I know it's kind of like your guys' thing, but I do appreciate. I mean, it's funny too because I've been talking to Adam for like the last week and a half probably, that's what I like about this. Like just starting to chat with people that I never really chatted with, and it was the conversation started from TJ Hushmanzada, funny enough, and it's gone on to like crazy things about even like just Celtics housing market. So I really appreciate that, Adam, by the way.
Yeah, and I think I've also like chatted with you more than I had in the past. I mean, we had chatted a little bit in the past, but like between your YouTube and a lot of the like silhouette stuff and talking about the game dated sets and stuff like that, like, yeah, it's been a really great opportunity. So I wouldn't even say like I disagree when you say it's our sort of thing. Like the whole point of this is that we just have a place where everyone can come, lounge out, hang out, just talk cards. So, we'd love to have you here from the beginning every week. So
appreciate that. Thank you.
And tell your friends to join the party.
I will.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So again, thank you all. We'll see you all next week, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, Thursday. And yeah, enjoy. Happy collecting, everyone.
Be well, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later, guys.